Hello and welcome to Friday's Economics, the homeless woman's version of Gary's Economics. I am the person who made Scotland's community wealth building bill go viral, and I started this channel last October, but it is really difficult to create these videos in the first place, but especially under my circumstances, which is why you haven't seen one until now. But I have a room and the energy, so I asked my whole Claude project on this research I've been doing over 4 years that covers more than 300 movements worldwide to solve wealth equality and create an economy, a fairer economy that supports all life, not just the mega rich. I asked Claude, like, what are the things that if I die tomorrow, I would need out of my head and on a YouTube channel? And so here we are. If there is nothing else that I can get that you take away from this video, that if you watched it, just watch it up until the point I say the next couple of sentences and then you can leave. I just want you to know we literally have all the solutions we need. They're there, from the economy to the climate to on interpersonal relationships. We are just not implementing them. Now, my specific special interest is the economy. I have done all this research. We can rewire the economy and create wealth equality, which is better for both the wealthy and the power, bypassing completely this whole fight over taxes and rich people leaving the country. We can bypass this completely. But rather than just take it from me, listen to what Neil McEnroy, who is one of the global leads on community wealth building.
Look, the fundamental woes that the world faces is down simply to wealth and power. Who has wealth? Where does it go? And how that wealth controls the very nature of how many of us, where we work, what we do, how we nurture the planet with that wealth. So, in simple terms, community wealth builds a correction to wealth and power. But it's not just a concept. It actually fundamentally seeks to rewire wealth and power by practical things we can actually do. We could start now, and we are starting now. So it's practical. It's step by step. It's got a big attack on wealth and power, but we do it in practical ways.
So Neil has been working on this a long time. We have proven pilots in the US and the UK that this can just be implemented as practical steps, and that's just one of the 300 movements. So if you take away nothing else from this video, do a little deep dive on community wealth building. It has radicalized so many people just to read the Democracy Collab's Guide to Advancing Community Wealth. So I want to go in next into two things. One, it's just spreading the word about this, because just community wealth on its own, if every community knew how to do it, then we would get so much farther in the next year than we've gotten in the past couple of decades. And number two, try to simplify the common denominators in all of these 300 movements. Okay, so let's rewind back to January 2026. In 2025, this community wealth building bill that has already had pilots and is proven to rewire the economy with practical steps, now they're taking it to legislation because of all of the great work that is done in and around Scotland, the people passionate for this. It's being taken to legislation and it passes stage 1. Okay, nobody's reporting on it, not a peep. I'm in this movement and I don't even hear about it. At the time, I'm staying in like a drug den in the US. But my partner's in the UK, so he flies me back every few months. But I can't live there because I don't have a visa. So I just go there to visit, to stay with my partner and all of my friends. and then I have to go back. So I go there for Christmas and we spend time with friends, and I'm relaxing and recovering from my time in the drug den. God bless Jim for taking me in, but that was still wild and horrific experience. I'm resting and recuperating, and in the meanwhile, I hear about it passing stage 1. And I'm really excited to report on this, but I don't have the energy because wow, is being homeless exhausting. And then what I've been working on then is, so when I go back to the US this time, I have a car I can sleep in, because I think, oh God, if I just had a car I could sleep in. I have my own sovereign space that would solve all of my problems. So I've been working so hard on this GoFundMe, and God bless all the people who donated, especially the fella who donated almost 10 grand to set me up. Anyway, so this is just a massive relief to my nervous system. And so I take the opportunity to go see another content creator, Anthony Ellis, who does Co-op Evolution in London, and some of my friends down there. And just have an amazing day, so much energy. There's this script I've been sitting on about Scotland's community wealth building bill, and I'm in King's Cross. I'm on my way back up north, and I just like, oh, well, why not now? This is great. The lighting is great. And so I recorded about it having passed stage 1 actually months earlier, so it's really behind on the news. And this video goes super, super mega viral. I can't believe it. And but I can believe it because it touches on several things. Like it is a step in the right direction towards wealth equality. It's what people are massively wanting, and wow, here's a sign where things could go right. And it also got people arguing in the comments because nobody could decide, is this communism? Is this capitalism still? We can't decide, right? Which is really interesting. Also, plenty of people saying hope for humanity, and you know, this is what really changed things, more of this, and people asking, well, how do I actually start this? And so then cut forward to February. It's my Instagram account blows up. Goes from 600 to 60,000 and some followers practically overnight. Celebrities are following me. I'm back in the US at that time, sleeping in my car, and then Scotland's newspapers say, you know, why this niche Scottish bill went viral this week, and the bill actually ends up passing, and the newspapers write about it more. And then if you watch the passing of the bill, Lorna Slater notes that essentially the committee working on the bill were underwhelmed when it came across their desks. They weren't that excited about it. But then when the bill goes viral, she's getting phone calls. Ooh, is this you on TikTok? This is exciting. And just the disconnect there between people in government who are getting these bills and everything constantly on their desks every day. It must all look the same. But then when that same information, when it rewires wealth and power, when it creates wealth equality, when that is communicated effectively to the public, how exciting it is for us to know that the solution is there and we can be being implemented it, and the mass international support for this, not just in the UK, not just in Scotland. And so it was quite surprising to them, and they cited it several times just in the debates just before the bill actually passed. And that bill has a long way to go to go from law to getting people to practically implement it. Is a road. It takes a while. But the interesting thing there is there's so much public demand for this, and yet it's 99.9% of the content out there is only diagnosing the problem or talking about tax or UBI. And you can sort of look like what we're trying to do is hit this sweet spot in the middle. Everybody is happier when everyone has enough. We saw this in the 50s and 60s, this robust middle class, right? So the instinct towards UBI and taxing the wealthy is to put these bumpers on so nobody has too much, nobody has too little, and the people in the middle thrive. The thing is, those policies for UBI and taxing the wealth, they're not bad at all. They're just lower leverage. And this gets into systems theory, and this is a whole nother video. But it is important to understand that independently, just if we only did those two things, that doesn't rewire the system. And this leads into now the way you can recognize across these 300 movements which ones actually are going to do that rewiring to create that sweet spot where everybody's in a sweet spot, where nobody has too much, nobody has too little, we're not driving the planet off a cliff. and everybody is happier because nobody's in scarcity, fight or flight. Nobody is so cut off from humanity by their wealth that they're miserable too, or they're scared of people coming with pitchforks like Nick Hanauer. You may have seen recently Nick Hanauer was on the Diary of a CEO podcast with Daniel Priestley and of course Stephen Bartlett. And I thought their conversation was very interesting, because here is a billionaire who wants to solve wealth inequality. Daniel Priestley's even agreeing, yes, it's better when everybody is more equal or has enough. And they both kind of, at one point in the episode, they both kind of looked at each other and were like, well, but how do we get there from here? Okay, we agree on where to go, but how do we get there from here? And I was just screaming into my phone screen. Not actually, I'm not much of a screamer, but I wanted to scream into my phone screen. Literally, we have the solutions. If you would even just talk about community wealth building alone, your millions and millions and millions of listeners, Stephen Bartlett, could go start reading the guide and taking the classes and implementing this in their own communities. And then we can bring Matt Golding from Antidote on, who've recently released a podcast, Screw This, Let's Try Something Else, about communities who are already coming together to own their own energy, their own housing, their own supermarkets, to collective decision make together instead of relying completely on government to make all the decisions. Boy, do I have a story for you there. I'm sure you have your own stories about what the councils and the local government have done when they did not consult us, the people who actually live there. So anyway, even the wealthy people, they can sense this, that we need to hit this sweet spot, but they don't know how to get there from here. They have no idea about community wealth building or how to communicate it to the public so everyone starts working in this direction together. Which leads me into, we cannot have true democracy in the government or anywhere else unless we also have it in the economy. These are not separate systems. These are interdependent systems. I think you're seeing this now as people through business have gained more and more wealth and power. They start to exert more and more power over government. And so that's what you are looking for in business structures is you are seeing this massive shift now for organizations to sell out to their employees instead of private equity. Because the employees are actually there and in the company. Private equity, they only want to serve a profit. So if you have private equity owns the majority of everything is going to serve them because they have the say, and they can't see. They might have an understanding that you're strained, but they're just gonna. There's so many people in the system that are just trying to ensure a few people make a profit. That makes the whole system run really poorly. This is systems theory perspective again. I really need to do a separate video on that. But for now, just look, I'll wrap it up with, and we'll go more into that into more detail later. For that, just consider these couple of factors, okay? Systems work better or the economy works better when it is owned by us, when we get to decision make what happens. I mean, imagine if all of us got to have a say in Amazon. And when the purpose of the business enterprise, they're all just systems that to meet human needs, serves human needs like well-being and our shared well-being, really everything that falls under that, instead of profit alone. Profit as a metric is terrible on its own, absolutely terrible on its own. If there's an oil spill, GDP goes up. How does that make sense? Where did we come up with this being the measure of a healthy society? The economy is meant to serve everybody's needs. The economy is meant to be how we care for one another. So why isn't it measuring our shared well-being, those kind of outcomes? Why is it measuring GDP instead? So I've gone on quite long. So there will be a part 2 and a part 3. The part 2 is exploring the gaps, why this isn't happening, why people aren't talking about it, the gaps we have to get there from here, how we close those gaps. And then in part 3, I'll talk about, well, what can we actually do as individuals to start voting every day. These are the votes that count every day with our time, our money, and our energy for the economy that we want instead of the one that we have. So, see you next time. Friday out.